1, 2, big jump. 3. Whoa.
I can swim.
All right, you're gonna swim? All right, let's swim. Swim, swim. Stroke, stroke, stroke. Do you know what I'm gonna do on my expedition?
What?
What am I gonna be doing?
No.
I'm gonna be diving down and studying the corals, right? And we're gonna make sure the corals are nice and healthy, right, Ruby? Can you dive with your goggles?
But I cannot dive.
Well, we're learning though. Do you want to try with the goggles again? One more time? Okay. All right, let's put our heads under. Blow bubbles. Again? Was that fun? Yeah. Did you like that?
Yeah.
Could you see the bottom? When you get older, we can scuba dive. Do you want to come scuba diving with me, Ruby?
No.
No? Do you want to come on the boat?
No.
Okay.
Panameña, panameña, espérame lindismeña que voy para allá, que ahorita con mi guaracha vamos a gozar. Aquí estoy, ya llegué, y te traigo en mi guaracha un recuerdo de mi Habana que yo te quiero ofrendar. No de La Habana de ahora y si la de años atrás, pero suéname la tumba porque yo quiero gozar. Pero suéname la tumba porque yo quiero, caballero, porque yo quiero ya gozar.
I've been studying coral reefs now for about 25 years, and seeing the death of reefs all around the world in my lifetime has really infected me almost with trying to make my science more relevant for preserving and ensuring that there are healthy reefs going into the future. We're on the hunt for supercorals that will be able to survive climate change. We're trying to figure out what makes them so tough and how that can be used to inform restoration efforts, and also how we can protect the corals that are already there so that healthy reefs stop declining all around the world.
Let's get going before we leave the site. And you guys have the species list and the data sheet, right?
We'll set a surface room so you guys can find it.
Perfect. All right. See you soon.
Porque igual, o sea, mira, ellos van allá, tienen la función, es para atrás ayudar. Entonces, terminamos aquí.
Coral reef environments hold a ton of marine biodiversity. If you think about coral reefs, think about them like New York City. You're walking down New York City and you see skyscrapers just all around you. Think about all the people inside that building, right? So it's a structure that's harboring a lot of life, holes and tunnels and everything, where creatures can just find a little niche and call it their home.
If we continue to destroy corals either directly or by raising the temperatures of the ocean, causing mass mortalities of them, what we're really doing is removing that habitat, that home. It's not only bad for those organisms, but it also falls back on us.
Corals provide economic support for coastal communities around the world. It also protects the coast from storms. There's been new medicines for cancer and AIDS that have been discovered on coral reefs.
Areas like the tropical Eastern Pacific, where we are right now, in the coast of Panama, experience these very wide-ranging changes in environmental conditions with drastic changes in temperature.
These reefs are facing more extreme conditions. And over the evolutionary scale, this can make these corals tougher to face future climate change. So that's why it's so important to evaluate these corals and these reefs here. it's besides because first we have to put the transect.
Yeah, we need to
Then
say
we're like,
this-
okay,
this
the
side.
transect is here, so we can collect the water, collect the plankton and everything.
But the biggest priority is tagging the corals,
Okay.
doing the photomosaics.
So like while you guys are diving and putting the transect on and collecting.
Once the transect's on, we tag the corals, we do the photomosaic,
Yeah.
we do all the different
And
things.
we could be doing the water and the plankton.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah,
that
From
makes
the
sense.
reef, because
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
this is the spot,
Yeah.
and then we do
No,
this
that'd be
spot
great,
for-
and then it's out of the way. It's
Okay.
done. Yeah.
We do this expedition twice a year, so during dry season and also during the rainy season, between August and October. We are collecting coral seeds here for our project, and also we are collecting water and other samples. We are also doing fish surveys.
Ajá, ese es el Moorish idol. El Moorish idol.
O sea, solito, pues.
Solito.
Voy a prestarle más atención. Lo que pasa es que a veces uno va a hacer el trabajo.
Cuando yo
Uno va
te enseño
enfocado
esto
en
es-
uno.
I'm supporting everybody. I also need to fill the tanks, make sure that everybody has everything they need for the dive. We are diving for, I would say, 85-90% of our expedition. We need to dive again.
So diving is amazing. I love to dive. So imagine you're floating around with your eyes totally closed, but you're still moving. You don't feel anything. Just moving, floating, giving flips backwards. You hear the ocean here, just bubbles. And then you open your eyes and there is all these colors and fish going here, going there, all this life. And you're still floating around.
It's quiet in the sense that you don't hear people, but you're surrounded by sounds. You hear this constant crackling in the background, which are snapping shrimp. Millions of little shrimp that are snapping so loudly that they just create this stereo of crackling everywhere.
It's very relaxing. You enter the water maybe with preoccupations or stress, and you suck all that out of you, and you're a new person. After 1 hour of diving, you feel very relaxed, very like wavy, like the ocean itself.
Para el sol. No, porque me quemo la vida allá abajo.
¿Listo?
Casi. Con calma y paciencia, por favor.
¿Cuánto aire tienes?
5 libras.
Dale. Ok, muy bueno para comenzar.
¿Cómo estás?
250 bares.
Ok.
Vamos.
Ay, no. ¿Listo?
So on this expedition, we're comparing the same species of corals between areas with very different levels of environmental variations. When we come to a new site, we lay out a measuring tape underwater. Every 5 meters, we hammer in PVC posts. We find a coral of the correct species and put a tag on them, so we sample the exact same piece of coral every single time.
To describe the sites that we're working on and find those corals, we have to map them and their location relative to the transect. But my artistic skills are awful.
To really monitor the large-scale ecological changes, we use a technology borrowed from Silicon Valley. We swim along taking about 5,000 photos, and the software finds the areas of overlap between the pictures and makes a 50 meter by 4 meter 3D model of the reef. And we can use these models to study the ecological change on the reef in a totally new way.
When we are at the fields, we collect the corals by scuba diving, and with coral cutters, we take a tiny sample of the colony, and then we flash freeze in liquid nitrogen, and then we take these samples to the laboratory. We also collect corals, tiny pieces as well, and we keep them alive inside the seawater, and then we run onboard experiments. 104, where's 104? We are trying to understand how is the relationship between the coral and their algae that live inside the coral. And these algae are super important for corals because they give the corals a lot of energy because they photosynthesize. So through these onboard experiments, we can understand better how is the coral-algae relationship going. Oh, see, they already opened the polyps.
Wow.
You see? They're all like... Oh, see?
Messi?
See, like you see how happy it looks?
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
cool.
they're all like outside. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
They're
Perfect.
Happy.
Yeah,
They're happy in their new home.
Yeah. I have to be really careful with everything, and then I hear people saying, "Oh, there's a whale out there." Wow. And I just want to jump off my experiment and watch the whales. No, let's keep focused and rational here. So there's a lot of a rational side and an emotional side going on. Because you get too excited, you can lose an entire experiment. So this is tough, but fun at the same time. When people, what do you do for a living? I'm a marine biologist. And people are like, oh my God, what a dream life. It sounds very romantic. And it is at some point, it's very romantic to me, but it's, you know, it's a real job. Também não, calma.
Semana passada foi com ela.
I'm originally Brazilian.
Tá bom, fiquei feliz.
In this expedition, we have at least 6 different nationalities. And this amazes me. It's really, you get to know so many interesting people, amazing people, and I just love it. And I'm a very social person, so I think that's a good point for me. Like this beauty moment feels good because we kind of look damaged. Like
Yeah. Our hands go through a lot of stress.
It's amazing how the backgrounds are different. The roads that we have been through are so different. I love it because it's amazing to be able to teach and to learn at the same time. I think that's super inspiring. It's a lot of learning and growing in the whole process.
We're pulling this hose. Actually, we have about 100 yards. So this is by Yaonda, and we're pulling up to get fresh water from the mountains. We've been taking too long of a showers, so. le encanta mi agua fría en la mano.
I've been coming here with my family for the last 10 to 15 years. So being able to come back to these places and work on them as a scientist, it's like studying your own home and really getting to know your own home in a very different perspective. My dad got me diving from a very young age. I started diving when I was 13. I just fell in love with it. That interest in just the marine environment led to an interest in looking at it as a system. I'm very interested in how it works, how a coral reef community works, and how these different processes work. So that combination of love for science and love for the ocean really pushed me to become a marine scientist. Elio and I go set this. We come back to the boat, and then you guys load up to do the water sampling, and that way we...
Yeah, because it's just
It's just right here, and it's not going to make much difference. My role in the team is examining interactions between species that are on reefs. We go over a reef and we count individual fish and estimate their size visually.
This is what we have in hand. We have a slate with a piece of waterproof paper and a very well-designed pencil. We go at a very slow pace, and we're just looking and we're observing. We're getting to meet all the fishes that are living in the coral reefs that we're sampling in.
The presence of divers can affect the behavior of fish, so we're also deploying cameras along the reef to understand which species are interacting with different components of that reef assemblage. It's kind of like a puzzle. It's putting together a puzzle of how these different species fit together, how the environment shapes those interactions. That's really what I'm passionate about.
We saw tons of species and baby moray.
Went well?
Yeah, we saw so many fishies.
I was like trying to get it out of the way so you can see it. But I was doing the benthic transect and he just faced just come out of the hole. I know. It was good. I liked it. I think that one has a lot of lines everywhere. There's a lot of fishes of different sizes, and that was a beautiful sight. But for sure, I even saw probably about 5 other species of fish outside of the transect that were not on the transect. What I am as a scientist, I am the identifier. Anyone who has a creature that they don't know what it is, most specifically it's a vertebrate, not an invertebrate, they will send in, Nappy, what is this? I also have a uncontrollable desire of wanting to tell people about the marine environment, even though they haven't asked for it. So it might get a bit annoying, but if you start asking at least one question, it's just opening the faucet for a whole marine biology class of that organism. It's a flying fish. What we have here is a sea urchin. They flip, and then just, and then they have photoreceptors at the base of their spines. And if you look above, you'll see the anus. It is really an identifier for me. That is my primary goal, is everyone identifies me with the ocean. When you're gonna give me the plate, you're gonna put it in. What we have here is fresh water. And what you're gonna see happen is that if there's any epibionts or any live little critters living inside this, they're all gonna scuttle away and start moving because they're gonna flip out because it's fresh water. What I am doing here is looking at the critters that live within the corals itself. My head's always down, looking in between, not looking at coral, but looking at what's living inside the coral, taking up the coral space. Okay, test shot. Science is, for me, the career where you can be a child again. You can be curious again. It's something that has for sure become a part of my identity and who I am today.
Well, you know, the cliche, when I was a child, my grandpa used to put me a lot of Nat Geo documentaries and this kind of stuff, and there is always this submarine going below 3,000 meters and seeing amazing stuff, and I was like, oh, that's such a nice thing. It's so much to do, there is so much out there, a lot of questions to be answered, and just boop, question, and that drives me crazy. During this expedition, I'm trying to learn about everything and helping with everything, but I'm in charge of doing the eDNA or environmental DNA sampling. Everything left something in the water. Scale, mucus, pee. All this is floating like particles. We took water with everything on it and make them go through a filter. Then we extract all the DNA of this particle from the filter, and we are able to see whatever was there. You have a broader picture of what's in there. You can also have, like when I say a lot, it's a lot of information just from water.
You good?
Okay.
Okay.
Paciencia solamente. Me entretengo mirando el paisaje, me tiro al agua, pero es paciencia nada más. No me molesta esperar. Wow. De venir la lluvia parece.
And this is a study that we need to conduct for several years. This particular research is going to last 4 years. Hopefully it's going to be longer.
Long-term monitoring projects are really important because you're able to see in close stages, it's almost yearly, how the ecosystem is changing.
It's not a process where you collect the samples and you know the answer a week later or a month later. It's often several years later and you have to repeat things multiple times.
So you have to be resilient, patient. Not just the corals have to be resilient, the scientists have to be resilient as well.
All of us involved in the project will likely work on these corals potentially for the rest of our careers.
I would say as a Panamanian scientist, I'm very happy to be part of this project. I feel like this is a unique opportunity for me. Being a scientist, you need to have some connection with what you're doing. It's not just doing something, getting money. You need to have a connection.
Science, it might seem bigger from outside, but when you're in, you really see like it's common people, well-trained, doing things again and again to get very good results that help to take good decisions in favor of the environment, habitats, animals, plants. Whatever you feel drive your curiosity and your questions, that's science too. Don't feel afraid to get closer to it. It looks terrifying sometimes, but the closer you get, the more it hugs you. So sometimes that's good, that's not that good, but it really holds you.
Expeditions for me are the reason I became a marine biologist. The time I get to be in the field, diving and being on boats and being with a team, working as a team, is by far the best part of my job.
We're gonna do that.
But now that I have a family and a young child, being away from my daughter for more than 2 weeks, it makes it really hard. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you can show me the bus teacher? I can't come to school? How come? I realize that from the very first night that I'm gone, how her life keeps going on, and I feel like I'm just missing out on all the, the special things that she's going through every day. All right, Ruby. Have a nice day at school, okay? I love you. Bye. But having a child puts your work in perspective, and it gives you even more motivation for wanting to protect the oceans and coral reef ecosystems so that she has a chance to experience them herself and hopefully with her kids sometime in the future.
Yeah, just say hi.
It definitely makes it clear to me why I do my job and why all the paperwork and the hard parts of the job are worth it. That's really why I want to use my science to keep coral reefs as healthy as possible in the next 50 or 100 years. Did you see? Could you see underwater? Want to try again? Blow bubbles.